Hey y'all, Rayshawn here, and today I'm really excited to talk to some folks about career stuff because I guess because I'm a young professional, being able to talk about this stuff with professionals just really excites me. So we have Sharn Varicella, who is the Assistant Director for Career Services, and we have Charmaine James, who is the Director for Health Professions Outreach, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about their neck of the woods and how with Charmaine's area, what we call HPO is new and how it's supporting students who are interested in having a career in healthcare, and they are going to give them all of those resources that they need from the time they start as a student, from the time they graduate. And then similar with career services, because that is accessible to all of our students at any point in time to meet with your career advisor and to help guide you through the next steps. And then later we have Veronica Wilson, who is the director for the Academic Advising Center, and Amanda Boland, who is the CAPE director, and we'll explain what that means later, for the College of Science and Mathematics. So talking all things careers here, it gets me excited because I'm always interested in learning more, and I think y'all will get a lot out of this episode. So here we go. Well, welcome you guys. Thanks for being here on In the Wild. Getting started, Sharn, can you provide an overview of career services and what is offered for our students here at Augusta University?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. So definitely we're all about students. We know they're the lifeblood of everything we do. So we offer all types of services in terms of preparing them not only for career exploration, for them trying to figure out what exactly career is best suited for them, employment opportunities as well, also internships, anything we can help out in that area. We collaborate with all type of academic partners and student resources, like the HPO office over here. So basically, it's a team effort to try to make our students as much not only professional and viable as possible, but try to help them in which career fits them best.
What would you say, Charmaine, for Health Professions Outreach, since it's still relatively new to our campus?
Yeah. So Health Professions Outreach, or HPO as we like to call it, we are here to help students who are interested in a variety of health profession programs, really helping them to explore what their options are and what's out there. And then certainly for those who are already pretty sure of what they want to pursue, helping them with the application process to those programs, the additional things that are needed to make them more competitive, such as volunteer experience and shadowing experiences and some exposure to a clinical setting. Also with like personal statement review and trying to figure out what is their story that helps them to best convey why they are interested in that profession. And then also just helping with test prep. There are a number of entrance exams that are needed for these types of health profession programs, so we assist students who may not have the resources to purchase test prep materials on their own. We are able to kind of lend those to the students and allow them the time that they need to prepare, then they can return it so that we can continue to use those resources for other students.
And for your office, you're helping students who are all interested in some aspect of the healthcare industry, not just say doctors or nurses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so generally when a student says that they want to work in the health profession field, they may think of medicine, dentistry, and nursing, I would say, are probably the most popular. But there are a number of other health profession jobs and careers that students can pursue. And a number of those programs are right here at AU. So there are a number of undergraduate programs in the College of Allied Health Sciences, such as dental hygiene, respiratory therapy, radiation therapy. And then certainly we have our professional and graduate programs, occupational therapy, physical therapy, medicine, and dentistry as well. So really helping students explore their options and try to figure out, again, like what's the best fit going to be for them.
So what would y'all say, or in your opinions, how has the job market changed over the years, and what are you noticing in terms of employment for recent graduates?
Do you want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
Definitely one of the newest trends is AI, for sure. Whether that's, we used to always do the resume review, and we still do that with them in person, but now students have tools. If they want to go online, they can use things like you have a tool called Hiration that uses tool called ChatGPT that you've heard of to help automatically correct certain sections of their resume. So we've seen that with technology. We've also seen a push towards more and more to what Charmaine said. Definitely have at least an internship under your belt. Definitely have shadowing under your belt as possible. Volunteer hours and shadowing are more and more important for that experience. Also, we're seeing our students going more and more for online degrees. That's building not only on our campus but nationwide. Whether it's undergrad, online portion is definitely building for our students, and then also in our graduate programs.
And I guess in my opinion, I would say there seems, from an enrollment perspective, a lot of health profession programs are having more women in the field than men previously. And I think there's also a significant need for more diversity in healthcare. There's a lot of research and data around health disparities that exist in different communities, and how some of those can be improved upon when there are similarities between the provider and the patient. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in my perspective.
So for your team or your office, how do y'all, I guess, go about finding the right tools and resources that students need to kind of succeed in those areas that you may have mentioned to help that change or to help resolve those disparities?
Yeah, I would say really it's about them getting the experience in clinical settings. So, if you want to be a doctor or dentist, you're not going to treat, every patient isn't going to look and come from the same background as you. So it's really about putting yourself in different clinical environments that will allow you to treat people who come from different walks of life. And so HPO is working on building a directory for students to be able to utilize so that they can identify places that they can obtain shadowing and observation hours. So we're not going to do all the work for them. We're hopefully we'll be able to provide a list, and then it's going to be on the student to seek out that office and those providers to say, hey, I want to be a dentist. I'm really interested in the profession and learning more. Would you allow me to come in to shadow you? And so ideally they will shadow in different settings, as I indicated, so that they can see, what is it like working in a free clinic compared to like a private practice or, private office. And that in and of itself will expose them to different types of patients.
And going back to you, Sharn, because you mentioned AI and kind of just like new technology, how has Career Services kind of adopted or altered its strategies to support new technology, I guess, with students?
That's a good question. The GPT, let's talk about that. So we offer a lot of tools that the students can go to on our website on augusta.edu/career services. One of them to help with their resume is called Hiration. So what they can do is we have different templates for the different majors. We have 10 colleges within the university, so we have a template geared toward each college. Then they go on Hiration, and they're following our template, but say they're doing bullet points for previous experiences that they've had with work or whatever, and they're having trouble with the words. They can literally type in the words in Hiration. Just incorporated this past year ChatGPT in there, where it'll say it'll give them feedback, or maybe this isn't better, we'll try using these words instead, or these phrases. It's instant feedback, and then the students can use that, upload their resume on Handshake, or they can send it back to us and we can say, oh, okay. So it helps with preventive maintenance, I would say. It makes their resumes, when they come to us, better, so we're not going back and forth as much. Also, they see in there, it's a scoring system. They have to have at least a 70 in Hiration for it to be checked off.
Oh, okay.
And then they can send it off. So it's a scoring system. So that's really helped them as well. Also now, Hiration keeps adding tools that helps them with the different section headings and what the sizes should be. New recommendations on that. How big your name should be up top, and font size and everything. So it's definitely an additional tool to the students' benefit.
And what does collaboration look like for, I guess, y'all two as two different offices, but also just with our other partners and folks on campus?
I mean, like Charmaine will say as well, I'm sure that we're all part of student services. And so we're all working together on different departments. So anytime, like if there's an employer that's geared to us in College of Science and Math, for example, and they reach out to our office though about interested in hiring students, or we have opportunities for this or that, we want to share that with Charmaine's office, Health Professions Outreach, and she wants to do the same. And then for our different academic partners as well, all across the campus, we work with the different deans and chairs of each college in terms of what are you looking for in terms of more internship or more volunteer opportunities. Can we partner with you on that? So it's definitely the old saying, it takes a village.
Yeah, and I would add certainly HPO, Career Services, and then our other partners in student success, the Academic Advising Center and the Academic Success Center, we all really work together. There are certain, I don't want to say handoffs, we're not just kind of passing students along, but all of the work that we do kind of works in concert with each other. So the work that HPO is doing does not replace Career Services, does not replace academic advising. A student would still need to go and meet with their academic advisor, and then HPO is kind of a supplement to that. And maybe when they're with HPO, we're helping them prepare for the interview, like a mock interview, but Career Services can actually administer that mock interview and help a student understand what does that process really feel like. It could also be that in talking with academic advising or with HPO that we realize maybe health professions isn't really what the student wants to do. And again, that's a great segue to Career Services because of all of the assessments that are offered, and a student can then be able to see like what careers align with their personal interest and their own kind of traits and characteristics and values that they have. What are some careers that align and that will allow those two things to mesh? So all of us under Student Success really work very well together, and it's definitely a team effort for sure.
Yeah, if I could just tag on to that, and she made a good point that I forgot to say, but that's a great example. So academic advisement, so every semester you're going to have students, and they don't have to be freshmen, sophomores, juniors even, they realize all of a sudden, this is not the right major for me. I want to change my major. Academic advisement, they'll talk to academic advisement first, and then they'll bring them over. It's not a handoff, like Charmaine said, but can you meet with the student and tell them about the assessment resources you offer? Absolutely. So immediately we'll have them take some of our best assessment resources, like the Disc and Value Index, like Tradeify, like Focus 2, and we get a better gauge of the student, what motivates them. For example, the Disc and Values, the 7 values, motivational, the 7 motivations, factors that we all share. You know, what are you strongest in? Okay, this motivates you and this motivates you more. Maybe you should consider a career in this. So that's a great point, and that's how, for example, work with academic advisement, and that's just one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And even like with the Academic Success Center too, certainly for health profession programs and really all careers, I would say the academic component is very important. And when you're getting to a point where you're applying to like medical school or dental school, everybody is strong academically. You know, it's those other pieces that are really going to help you kind of stand out. But to make sure that you're on par with other students, you have to keep those academics up. And so that's where academic advising, or excuse me, the Academic Success Center comes into play. Because even if a student is performing well, we still encourage them to go to tutoring and seek out a peer advisor, a peer coach within the Academic Success Center. Talk with a professional staff member in that office because they can help you to kind of maintain and stay on track. And it's better to be seeking out help when you don't need it versus like needing it, and then it's like, oh man, I'm kind of scrambling at this point.
Yeah. Peer mentor or mentorship, that's great.
Yeah.
Good point.
And for those who may not be familiar with your offices, like students from like freshman year to the time they graduate have access to you guys throughout their entire career journey, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And absolutely, and even alumni do as well. And that's the great thing as well. And when our students go to graduate school, same thing. It's not just, and Charmaine will tell you that, but it's not just geared to undergraduates. Obviously, we have predominantly our students are undergraduate, but also when they're in graduate school, as she was saying, we help a lot, and I help a lot. For example, with our graduate health program. So preparing them for residency mock interviews. Like she said, personal statement is huge. That's how you can really differentiate yourself. So helping them craft a really good personal statement. So it's ongoing, not just from freshman year, but also through graduate school as well.
And when would you say is the best time for students to reach out to y'all or to stop by your office?
Anytime. Our offices are always open, open door policy, and we do walk-in appointments. Obviously we encourage you. You can make an appointment with us through handshake ahead of time, but if you also are walking in all of a sudden, and you had an experience after class, or you're like, you know what, I gotta go there, that's okay. We'll accept you. Walk-in appointments are fine.
Yeah, and same for HPO. Students can schedule appointments with us through Navigate, and they can meet with either myself or my colleague, Ms. Jenna Greiner. But certainly, if they're in the library, we're in the Greenblatt Library on the Health Science campus on the first floor. So if they just happen to kind of be in the vicinity and they have a question, then certainly feel free to just come on by and talk with us.
And that's a good point I wanted to make as well, is that for us in University Hall, we like to say we're one-stop shop. So on the ground floor, we have Academic Success Center. And then on the second floor, right next to each other, Academic Advisement Center and then Career Services. So we like to say it's a one-stop shop right there for students in University Hall.
And we have our Jaguar Job Fair coming up. What would you say to students who are looking to attend the job fair for the first time?
Great question. Definitely make an appointment with us prior, because one thing we love to go over is their elevator pitch. A lot of them don't know what that is. We think that's so important. 30 seconds pretending you're in the elevator with the CEO all of a sudden is that, who are you? And you have 30 seconds to respond. And we'll also help them with how to dress professionally, dress for success. Also, definitely, we want to get that resume perfected as much as possible. So, as you said, the job fair is on March 22nd. So they still have plenty of time to make an appointment with us.
All right, so before I let y'all go, I have a fun game that I'm calling Wild Takes, because I have some trending topics that are going out in the, I guess, job industry right now, and I want to get your takes on them. So first up, remote work and hybrid work models. How do you feel about those?
I think you have to, whether you like it or not, you have to embrace it. Before COVID, I read some studies nationally, 2% of the country worked remote, and now it's 10%. And
Oh, wow.
And it's just growing, especially hybrid models as well, whether it's 3 days in the office, 2 at home, working at home, or vice versa. I think you have to embrace it. Not every role. There are some roles where you definitely you need to be in the office, but I think, in my opinion, definitely where we're going as a country and a world, more and more we have to be flexible, more flexible, especially with our younger people, because that's what they're seeking.
Yeah, and I would say you may not think that there are remote options for healthcare, but there are. So certainly, as Sharn indicated, there will be some professions where it's going to require that you are in person and face-to-face and seeing your patient, even if that means that there are some additional safety precautions or things that are in place. And thankfully, we're kind of beyond COVID now, but certainly different things were implemented when providers still needed to be able to provide care, but we're trying to all be safe. But there are some roles in healthcare in the health profession industry that will allow you to work remotely. I'm thinking specifically of like health information administration, for example, which is a program in the College of Allied Health Sciences, where you're not as involved in direct patient care, but it's more so like securing the medical records. So all of the information that's feeding in about the patient and making sure that that is disseminated appropriately to various providers and through different systems and networks and all those kinds of things. So in talking with the program director for that program, there are a number of opportunities for students to be able to work remotely in that profession and still, make a good living and things like that.
Next up is quiet quitting.
I'll let you go first on that, Charmaine.
Sorry, give me a minute. How do I feel about quiet quitting? Personally, I'm sorry. Give me just a minute. Let me think some more.
I didn't mean to stump y'all with that one.
It's okay. Let me think, Lord. Some editing will be needed here.
Yeah, same. or I can go first.
Do I have to tie it into health professions in general, or just you just want me to
It
talk
should
about
be
it
in general.
generally? Okay, how do I feel about quiet quitting? Okay, quiet quitting. So I would say that it can be difficult for a work environment it's a challenge for professional environments to deal with. I think it's important for supervisors in offices in general to just kind of create an environment where people can express their frustrations. It doesn't have to be confrontational, but we can talk about like what makes you happy in your role, and what causes you some frustration. What are some things that we can add to your role that will help you to feel more fulfilled in the position, as opposed to just like shutting down and not wanting to continue to do the work to the point where you then just are ready to go. So that's kind of my opinion of things.
It's definitely, that term has emerged since COVID, obviously. We definitely, so I'm not going to ignore it. It's reality. To Charmaine's point, I think it's all about engagement. I've always tried personally in every job I've been in, whether I'm directing it or not, to treat every person on the team as family. So I'm always asking every day, not just saying good morning, but asking how are you doing, how's your family, blah blah blah. One great thing I think my boss does, and she's extremely busy, but she still makes time to have a one-on-one, for example, with me every other week for at least 30 minutes. It's basically a check-in. And I think that's great to do that with your employees. Besides, and I know Charmaine knows this too, besides our staff meeting once a week, but you can't get really personal in that, right, because you're with the staff. But these one-on-ones are a great opportunity. And we schedule for 30 minutes, but it can be an hour. And I think that's one of the great ideas to get to know people better. And, I try to, especially, I've always tried to do this, but try to make it that it's not just work. We're a family. We have to work together to get things done. If there's something I'm doing I might not know about, please let me know, or something's bothering you, or vice versa. If there's a health of a family member you want to let me know about, and we can be a little more flexible in your schedule, this or that. Those things are important. And if they feel that, I believe if they feel you care about them, not just as a worker, but as a person, you'll create that loyalty.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I became aware of quiet quitting through like TikTok, social media.
Mm.
And I feel like a lot of times people are aiming it at like entry-level employees or like young professionals or new professionals. And I feel like that may not always be the best approach when things are going wrong in the workplace, because if you're trying to build your reputation and kind of, get your career started, quiet quitting when you're just getting started might not work out as well for you.
Not a good thing.
Yeah. Next up is job hopping.
You are asking some good questions here. These are definitely some wild takes. I think it all depends on the reason, and I think you need to kind of be able to explain why you were job hopping. Certainly, it's good to be ambitious and want to pursue and kind of grow professionally. At the same time, something can be said for someone who does have a little bit more longevity in a role. But with every position that you take, you want to just try to like learn and grow. And if you feel that you are, in a short period of time, you've gained some additional skills that make you more competitive in the job market, then I am okay with it. Sharn may have a different opinion. What do you think, Sharn?
It's a great question, because it's, these aren't easy, but it's not one size fit all, right? How I think in our generation, how we were raised is that you needed to stay in the job for a year to 2 years minimum, really 2 years minimum. And now more and more today, you're seeing, especially in the past 10 years, you're seeing people change jobs, not routinely, but I think the average American now changes jobs 7 times. So in their career, so being able, Charmaine made a good point, I thought, about being able to explain, because they're going to see it on your resume, so be able to explain that. Okay, why did you make that change? Was there an opportunity for growth somewhere else? You thought you gained certain skills in 6 months to a year, but then after a year you thought you weren't making progress, even though you had a great performance review. But ideally, it's definitely not when our parents grew up, and parents and grandparents, and they stay for one company for 30 years. Those days are over, and we recognize that. But don't, the grass is not always greener. So don't just take a new position for the take of, definitely do your research and be able to discuss it with someone, an advisor, or whoever, or a mentor. Why are you making that change? Be able, so you can explain that to others.
And last one is ghosting employers during the interview process.
During the interview process.
I don't like that. And let me make sure I understood, because you said ghosting employers. Do you mean employers ghosting individuals who are looking to join the company? So you're in the application process and you're interviewing, and then you don't hear back from the employer?
The opposite of where I applied to a job, maybe they took too long, or maybe I found another job, and they reach out, but because I have another opportunity or I've moved on, I just kind of ghosted.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Because I don't think it's professional.
Yeah.
And so even if you do have another opportunity that has come your way, you should communicate that. And that's part of being a working professional. You do need to kind of gain some communication skills along with a number of other skills. And so you need to be able to convey to them, thank you so much, I appreciate the opportunity. However, in the time that has passed, I've found something else, and I'm going to pursue that. It's a simple email.
100% professionalism, as she touched on, the golden rule. But yeah, I know that's a popular term amongst the youth now, ghosting. But strongly recommend do not do that. These people, you have to also remember, these employers were taking the time out of our hectic days to interview you. Someone is taking the time to interview you, to set that up, logistics, everything involved, professional courtesy. It's okay if at the same time you're interviewing at another place and you got the other position, but you need to let them know that. It's the right thing to do, especially in today's society. Word gets out, whether it's Augusta or whatever. People talk in the same industry, especially in Augusta. People run in the same circles. They'll talk. So you never want to do that. As Charmaine said, always professional courtesy and answer back. Do not ghost or ignore the other employer that interviewed you.
And then what if, a couple years go by and the company you ghosted has a new opportunity that you would want to pursue, and if they remember, well, we tried to get you to come on board, a couple years back, and you ignored us,
That's right.
then that's not going to bode well for you if there were something that you would want to pursue later with that company.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, y'all. The takes weren't as bad as nervous as y'all were, but I appreciate it, and I hope everyone who is out there watching this, check out the job fair that's coming up, and check out Career Services and HPO.
The Jag mobile app, you can now discover and filter events that match your interests. Your tasks for success at AU will be right there in your current tasks. Finish them, and they automatically move to the completed task section. But that's not all. With the Jag mobile app, you'll receive targeted push notifications that are relevant to you. No more irrelevant alerts clogging up your phone. Stay in the know without the noise. Jag Mobile's messaging feature lets you see which events they're attending, the groups they're joining, and the conversations they're engaging in. It's the ultimate social and academic networking tool.
Amanda, Veronica, welcome to In the Wild. This is both your first times here, I believe, right?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
So yeah, thanks for being here. And earlier we had talked about Career Services, and Amanda, you come from Career Services, and Veronica, you're a part of Academic Advising. So I guess I wanted to start off by asking, how does your respective areas tie into Career Services and HPO?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
So I'm the CAPE director for the College of Science and Math majors, and CAPE stands for Career, Academic, and Professional Engagement. So it's my job to work with those students to provide the resources that they need to move forward in those areas, which is referring students to career services a lot, or to Veronica's academic advisors for that support as well. And then if they are going into or seeking a health care related field, which most of my science majors are, a lot of them are, I will refer them to HPO for that guidance through their health professions journey.
So I'm the Academic Advisement Center director, and my second job is also CAPE. So I'm the CAPE of Pamplin, social sciences, arts and humanities, and psychology. Psychology is a new addition. So as Amanda said, we work as a team. We work in teams within a team to make sure that the students are appropriately directed in their academic journey.
And I guess just in general, what role does academic advising play in helping students identify their career goals?
So we've gone through a transition, and we are more intentional in meeting with the student, connecting with them to see what is their goal. Because not always when they go into a major, they're not successful in that major. So we talk to them. And I like to tell people we don't only create schedules. First of all, we get to know the student. We get to know their likes and dislikes. We get to know if they're a community student or on campus to make sure we're getting the holistic perspective. And then from there, we are appropriately can, meet the student where they are to make sure that we're putting them on the right pathway. So a lot of times people are like, oh, your office just creates schedules. No, we don't just create schedules. We do a lot more. We're very intentional in making sure the student has. We're sometimes I say we go over the top. We're over the top in the personalities in the office to make sure that because we are very passionate and we recognize that we are here for the student.
So how did, I guess, both of y'all get into, academia, but also helping students with choosing their careers after college?
I have a great story. I had terrible advising as a college student. I was told I wanted to study psychology, and I was told, well, you have to get a PhD. And as an 18-year-old that wasn't excited about college, I ran across the street, back then that's what you did, and majored in business because I was really involved in FBLA in high school. And
same.
yeah, I was and I loved it. And then I got out of college with a business degree, and I hated every job I ever had. I'm not a competitive by nature person, so I really didn't enjoy it. So I was 40 years old when I came back here and got my master's in clinical psychology and thought, this is me. Finally, I'm getting to do what I wanted to do. And I actually went to the career services for help with my resume when it was time to get a job, and they were looking for someone with a counseling background. And I said, well, what do you do on a daily basis? Because by then I had great insight. I knew my personality. I knew I was an extrovert. I couldn't stay in a cubicle with a computer all day long. And they said, well, we do presentations, we do events, but we do one-on-one students because I love that part too. And so Julie Goley hired me in 2007, and 15 years later, I made the move to CAPE director because I love that ability to work with students and help them find their, joy in their career and their pathway. I didn't want to give that up, but I was ready to move on up and get some more, experience that way. That's how I came to being this director.
Yeah. So I have a non-traditional path. I was a non-traditional student, but traditional age. I was 18. I had a child when I was 18. So I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I had lived in Buffalo for 30 years before I started moving around. So I was in retail for 10 years after I had my child, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I had to figure out. Only thing I wanted to do was be a boss. And that was real. I wanted to be a boss. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do.
So I got into retail management. After 10 years, I'm like, I need to do something else. I need to refocus my energies, manager skills somewhere else. So in my undergraduate, because I was a non-traditional age student with a child, I'll tell people I was raised by a nun and two black females. Because I was in what we call higher education opportunity program, which assists, students who have circumstances, and I wanted to be like them. I wanted to give back to all the support and help they gave me. So that's how I got into higher ed. So this is my 6th institution. I've been an advisor director for probably like 12 years at different institutions. So I love working with the students. Listen, when you hear me talk about my passion for the students, you see it because I live it. And that's how I got into higher ed. So, true story, when I interviewed for Augusta, it was all online.
Oh, wow.
I had never seen the campus until after I got hired. My first day, I was like, this is so beautiful. Yes, great. I was like, great decision. So, no one was really moving during COVID, and I was like, yes, I'm going here. So, I took a chance, like I always do, and I'm here, and I love it.
I'm glad to hear that, and thanks to both of y'all for sharing that. I guess going back to you, Veronica, could you walk me through what the student experience looks like from, I guess, day one of becoming a new student here at Augusta University to, I guess, their entire time with Academic Advisement? What does that look like?
Yes. So first we start off with admissions. We collaborate with admissions. We run lists of new students, new freshmen and transfer students. They fill out a new Jaguar survey. And once they fill out a new Jaguar survey, the list that we generate 3-4 times a week, the advisors get their list of students, and then they create schedules based on the feedback from New Jaguar survey. We've changed it a couple of times, but I think it's best for us to create a schedule for a student because it's one less thing they have to worry about. After we create a schedule for them and we send them a welcome email, the welcome email gives them all the information that they need to, reach back out to the advisor if they need to do schedule changes. And from there, all summer, we on the grind. So what people don't realize, they're like, oh, you guys only work 9 months out of the year. No, ma'am. No, sir. We work 12 months. And our busiest times is in the summer when we're registering new students. From there, we do Leap Week. After Leap Week, we do Ad Drop the first week, which is insane. So early on, I realized that we cannot do appointments the first week of classes because it's too much. So we just do walk in. Walk in, see your advisor, get what you need. And when that's a process that's continuously being revised. After first week, and then we have late ad drop, and then we have like a week and a half where the advisors gear up for what we call next term advisement. Now, next term advisement is crunch time for us in the office because we're meeting with students to say, hey, I know you just got here, but we want you to come into the office, meet with us, talk about how things are going, any offices any referrals that we need to make for you. Pretty much see if they're okay, and then the last conversation would be, okay, let's plan for your classes for the upcoming semesters. So that's typically what advising looks like in the office. We have been more intentional in creating those advisor-student engagement opportunities, like creating registration workshops that we have coming up this month and next month. My plug. Also, we geared back up for Major Fest because Major Fest was dormant since 2019, pre-COVID. We geared that back up last semester, so that's an opportunity for students if they're wanting to change their major, if they're looking to withdraw or anything. We want to reach them in a big setting prior to the actual withdrawal dates or, the end of semester change your major. So that's basically what it looks like, a high-level overview of, but a student can come into the office anytime. It's not just next term advisement. If they're having any type of issues, they can always come in the office and set an appointment.
And so are they with their advisor up until graduation, or is there...
So currently, I'm glad you asked. So when I first got hired, we were just only doing 0 to 59, freshman and sophomore only. So we're doing this big transition, right, Amanda?
Very big.
0 to 120. So we have an objective to transform the way advising looks at Augusta University. We want to reach students from freshman year to senior year, to graduation, essentially partnering with all the departments, all the faculty members to, be a team. That's why the CAPE model works, because we're working as a team with faculty, with the students, with support units, everybody on campus to make sure that the student has a wonderful journey coming into Augusta and graduating from Augusta.
And I'll explain the CAPE model a little bit to you, because we may use the words clusters or CAPEs. So what we did in our, it's a unit, which is the Innovation of Student Success and Engagement.
Good, you got it.
And I got it. I didn't forget it. Basically took all the majors and divided them into 3 categories or clusters. And so each of those clusters has a director. So mine's College of Science and Math. She's Pamplin. Julie Goley, who's also the Director of Career Services, is the CAPE Director for the Business, Computer Science and Cyber Science, and then Education. So each of those, if you think about them in columns, each of us have people that don't report to us but are under us in our cluster that are specifically assigned to our majors. So for instance, there are 5 academic advisors that are currently housed in the College of Science and Math building that advise the College of Science and Math majors. And so if I'm working with a student, or a student comes to me and says, I'm really worried about what to take, okay, we talk about it for next semester, and then I send them to their advisor. That advisor is specifically handles that major, so they can give them that really specialized, very detailed information, and they kind of become experts in their field of that cluster. Then I do the same thing with Career Services. I send them to Chris Smith, who is assigned to work with my majors. So he can help them find a job that'll help them, satisfy the PA requirements if they're pre-PA. He can help them with a resume or an interview. And then the same thing is if I have a student that's struggling in one course, I'll send them to Academic Success Center. Jessica Wright is my contact for my cluster. She will interview them and then help them decide what they need, because one might just need tutoring, but another might need to go to a workshop on time management. So then we just really are resourcing them out to help them get that holistic care. And then the last one would be HBO, and it'd be Charmaine or Jenna, who, depending on how they separate their students out, but I give them a name. It's not saying go to Career Services, go to Academic Success, go to HBO. I give them a name. Right. We refer them. We have several different ways we do it, and we document it so that they can see that we're referring them, and follow-up is there. So it's just a beautiful system that allows us to give that holistic care, that wraparound approach to helping a student be successful. And that's our goal. And we're seeing that, and we hope to continue that column of resources across the university to provide our students that specialized care.
And it's working, because we've had a number of students who we had to collaborate on with each other to help that student. So prior to our cluster model, when an advisor, resigned or, got another job on campus, it was just me assigning the student to any caseload that was available. That was problematic. So now we have targeted, when someone resigns or we get a new person, the whole team is trained on the majors within that cluster. So it makes it a lot easier. So I can attest that is absolutely working. Is a model that is absolutely working right now.
And from the academic side, it's working so well, because those advisors are getting to know the faculty, the chairs, the deans of that college, and it's just way more collaborative. And it's a beautiful thing. It's really working well.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does seem very systematic and structured, which seems to be great, because like you said, with those clusters, if you're, presenting the students with like, hey, this is your team of people to help you out after like a year or two of kind of working with you guys, I can definitely see it, you know, working out in their benefit.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the
And
goal.
if I have a biology major that's changing to communications, I know who to connect them with, and I can say, okay, here are your new people, you know. So it's a little bit smoother transition as well because they know what to expect because they've already had that communication with their cluster.
Yeah, that was another question I was going to ask. What does it look like when students are saying, like, in my heart, I want it to be, you know, this doctor, but realistically, I think I'm ready to switch to something else outside of, you know, biology, and I want to be communication.
day-to-day.
You know, like, what does that look like for y'all to help students, like, switch their major, but also still have them set up for success?
I think it depends on the student.
Right.
I get a lot of referrals from those academic advisors when they meet with them and they see that they're not passing their subjects and they're still pre-med or pre-PA or pre-whatever. They'll send them to me, and we'll have the little, we'll have a good heart-to-heart talk. I also use JAG tracks. I put in the, you know, the GPA to show them, okay, well, to be competitive in this field, you're going to have at least this, you know, let's see if that's possible. Sometimes it's not even possible. You know, if I'm meeting with a junior or senior that wants to go to med school and they've got a 2.5, I just have to say, look, let's start looking at other options. Maybe that is something for you way down the road, but right now this isn't going to happen, you know. So I think that is my role in a lot of what I do is help those students. But a lot of times they'll come to me. I had one recently that had a 3.7 GPA and said, you know what, chemistry is not what I thought it was. I really love sciences and I still do, but I don't want to do it every day. And I can't remember what that student had a passion for. It was something totally different, like writing. And so we pulled up all the, you know, I sat with them and we went through all the degrees we have. And this student got so excited when she saw these opportunities. And I said, you know, I watch for the ding, ding, dings to go off. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get them started on the career services assessments and have them set up an appointment with Chris or Sharn, depending on who it is. And they'll carry it from there and follow through with that student. But I still do checkups on them too because, you know, I want them to be happy. That's the thing. We want them to be happy and successful. But finding that major that they enjoy is key because they're not going to do well if they're struggling in every class. And so sometimes it just takes that person that's not their parent, not their, you know, teacher from high school that's keeping in with them, or not the person in the club that they're in saying, you got this, and you know, mentally they may want to do it, they may be motivated to do it, but if you don't have the grades to back it up, that's when we have the heart-to-heart talk. And I just say, but you know, here are your other options. And so my goal is to help them have really a parallel plan, but I want 3 plans, and I want them to be just as excited with number 3 as they are 2 and 1. And usually we can do it. Not all the time. Maybe sometimes it's 2, but that's my goal. I just want somebody to be excited when they leave my office.
But the key is just talk, like sitting down and talking with the students.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're being shuffled around, and we just take the time to just have a conversation, and that conversation can go a long way. They just want you to talk to them. So a student asked me the same question the other day regarding the registration workshops, and we have to be intentional in connecting students with the faculty and in those majors that they're considering and other students, because the students can, you know, sell it better than we can.
Yeah.
But just first and foremost, having a conversation with the student, letting them get all their thoughts out, listening to them, and then just going from there, making their appropriate referrals and following up.
Yes,
We follow
follow
up
up.
all the time. So, you know, just don't let them go to their own devices. They need our assistance.
And then giving them the resources if we
Right.
can't do it, giving
Right.
them other resources that can help them.
Yeah, I definitely think back with my experience of switching my major, because my first semester, I thought I was going to be a nurse, and in high school I prepared to be a nurse, but then I took biology 1107, and I was like,
No.
if this is what the next 4 years is going to be
Yes.
like, let me go ahead and switch
really
before it
wanna
gets,
do
you know, yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah, I switched my second semester, and that was just the best decision for me, because I was, at that point, able to really excel, because I was learning what I thought was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some
At the time.
students don't learn that quickly, that they change
That's
their
right.
major.
That's
and we
right.
just
They
have
suffer
to,
through it.
you know, coach them through it. You know, you ready? Okay? Yes. You know?
Well, before I let y'all go, I have a fun little would you rather game that I wanted to get your expertise on some of these questions to see what would you prefer for our watchers and listeners out there. So, first up, in today's job market, do you think it's better for students to develop a well-rounded general skill set or specialize in a can't get that word out, specific area?
Oh, I think general skill set, because so much of the real job is taught on the job, and we know employers are looking for those strong communication skills, the ability to learn and to do. My youngest daughter graduated from college a few years ago, and her first job, they got her to draw an owl, I think, and it was like she was going, Mom, I didn't know what in the world they were doing, but the point is they couldn't ask any questions, and they just wanted to see if she could figure it out, or just was she gonna just sit there frozen. And I think that's general for a lot of employers. They want people that are figure it out. You know, you're not gonna know everything when you go on your job. So much of it is learning on the job. But if you've got the ability to read and be flexible and be persistent and resilient and have that mindset that we talk about all the time, I think that'll come in the job. That's my opinion.
I would say general as well. We don't know everything. We just we need to get what we can get. Yeah, general.
Next up, in the age of social media, do you value a strong professional presence online, or do you still see the traditional networking at events more impactful?
You go first.
I'm not a social media person.
Okay.
I don't want to be found. So this whole thing is a task for me. But I have LinkedIn presence, but nowadays social media is where it's at. So I'm going to say for the younger generation coming up, social media, but I like to go in a room and work a room. I think both are both are great. Yeah, both are great because I can work a room.
I was going to say because it depends on your area too right now, you know, but you've got to have LinkedIn if you're in some fields, but you got to still go work that room and get to know people and be assertive with LinkedIn. So yeah, I would say both do.
Yeah, because for me, and I guess more so on the communications side of things, for me, it's a red flag if I can't find somebody online.
Yes.
Because now I'm like, what are you hiding?
Right.
Like, why are you being, so private on everything? For LinkedIn, I think is great too, because that's the professional network.
Right.
But also, if on my end of things, if you want to be a content creator and everything that you have is private or it's difficult to find,
That's not good.
it's like, what are you hiding? What are you hiding there?
Because it's a fine line. Like everybody put everything on social media, their personal life, and I don't think that all your personal life should be on social media.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next.
Bring it.
Do you believe students benefit more from pursuing traditional career paths or exploring non-traditional, more innovative options?
Depends on the student.
Yeah, it's a hard
Depends
one.
on the career. Depends on the student. This has been a really hot topic in my circles lately, because I have people that I know that I don't think going to college, a traditional college route, is going to be the best for them.
Right.
So I've had to really adjust my thoughts around that. But I think it depends on the career. It depends on the person.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. But without those go-getters who go against the grain, we wouldn't have all these great innovative technologies like AI. you know what I'm saying? So I can see the value in both, but like Amanda said, it depends on the individual.
And the career. I mean, you can't just go watch how to teach on YouTube and go be a teacher. You've got to get that a nurse, same thing. You can't just, but some things you can watch on YouTube and go get a job doing it. So I think it just depends on the career and the person.
Hard questions, Rachel.
I know. That was an easier one.
Okay, last one. Which do you believe holds more weight for a recent graduate, I can't speak today, entering the job market? internship experience or academic achievements?
I'm gonna say
Internships. I'm gonna say
Real
internships.
life, me too.
Yeah.
Real life experience.
Yeah, I always tell students, like, of course you should always try to, be very strong academically, but if that's your only objective while you're here on a college campus, you're missing out on so much.
Right.
But you know what? We've got to preface that. It depends on the student, because medical fields, you don't do internships. So it would be your grades
That's valid.
and your volunteer and your shadowing. So again, it kind of depends on the student and the field. But most of them, I would say internship.
I mean, if I was hiring an advisor who only did coursework and they have internship experience, I'll go for the internship experience, because that proves to me that they have some knowledge of what we do in academic advisement. So.
Well, thank y'all so much for chatting with me a little bit. I hope everyone who is watching this checks out your CAPE director, if you have a CAPE director.
Everybody has a CAPE director.
We'll find out who your CAPE director is, and then, of course, check out Academic Advising. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed that episode, because I really did. Like I said, I was excited to have this conversation to begin with. So many takeaways. Like I mentioned before, coming to Augusta University, I just knew I was going to be a nurse. I did all of this preparation in high school. I could have gotten my CNA and all of the things, right, coming into college. But like I said, my first semester did not go as expected, so I had to switch into doing something that I really felt more connected with, which I switched to communication, and which is why I'm doing this with y'all today. And if you're watching this and you haven't already gotten to experience some of these other guys, I feel like most of y'all probably already experienced academic advising, but don't hesitate. Please reach out to them and try to get as involved as possible, not only with just them and with what they're guiding you on, but also on campus, because like they mentioned, internships and just having those other points on your resume are going to be so important, and they're there for you 24/7 kind of in business hours. So try to just keep thinking of how to take advantage of these resources while you have them, because trying to talk to people about this stuff after you graduate is expensive. So there's a lot of resources out there, and you have the best resources here right on campus. So I hope you take the time to learn more about those areas, follow up on those areas if you haven't followed up, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Be sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already, and tell us what you think about the episode in the comments. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.